God forbid somebody has a difference of opinion and a different form of ideology, then you're damn near the Antichrist.
Don't be afraid of a knockdown, drag-out fight, if that's what we're going to have. We've had them in the United States before.
We will fight to the death.
If Trump comes after your freedoms, I'll be there.
You come for my people, you come through me.
If you try to harm New Yorkers or roll back their rights, I will fight you every step of the way.
We did not expect this result, but we are prepared to respond to this result.
I can't refute it. I can't refuse the fact that the President of the United States, the President-elect, is well deserving of it. It was a romp. It was an annihilation. I know a lot of people are trying to, label it like, you know what, he won a little bit in a lot of different places. I don't want to hear that.
Well, guys, Donald Trump has only been the President-elect for the United States for what? 72 hours, barely 4 days. And yet we are already hearing multiple threats from within the Democratic Party against Donald Trump. This is a huge concern already.
So fight is the word. We covered that yesterday, Guy Benson. But you think there'd be a moment of self-reflection? Instead, we get the governor of New Jersey saying, fight to the death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about the governor of New Jersey for a moment. He talks about our values. And my challenge for Governor Murphy is, what exactly are our values in the state of New Jersey right now? In New Jersey, Donald Trump only lost by about 5 points. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump won almost 2 million votes in the state of New Jersey. Last time I checked, when Phil Murphy ran for re-election and won in New Jersey, barely, he won by 3 points and got 1.3 million votes. Donald Trump got 600,000 more votes in New Jersey than the governor of New Jersey did when he ran 3 years ago.
So what does this tell us, guys? This tells us that the governor of New Jersey is clearly, again, out of touch with the American people. They're out of touch with the New Jerseyans. The fact that it was that close is almost like Donald Trump is almost more in touch with the folks in New Jersey, even as the president of the United States, not just because you got to look at the fact that this is a governor of a state. OK, so you'd think that the governor of a state would be more in alignment with the people than the president of the United States, who's over 50 states. And this is not even the case. So rather than trying to clean up their own backyard and investigate what they're doing wrong and how they're becoming out of sync with the expectations and demands of those who live in New Jersey, they're pointing the finger at Donald Trump and they're threatening him instead.
So I would humbly submit, as someone who grew up in New Jersey, that maybe the New Jersey governor should spend more time trying to figure out why people in his state are sprinting away from his party than talking about fighting to the death on behalf of values that a hell of a lot of New Jerseyans obviously do not share.
And here's the other concerning part about this is that, here you go again, fight death. These are some very... these are some serious verbs. Let's just say that, right? And again, this is very heated, dangerous rhetoric aimed again at none other than former President Donald Trump, soon to be President-elect Donald Trump.
Let me share a little story about the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy. I was White House press secretary. It was in the heat of the pandemic. It was April of 2020, and I was in the Oval Office, and I watched Governor Murphy express thanks to President Trump for helping during COVID, sending test kits, sending swabs. He was diplomatic. He was kind. He saw at this moment a president willing to work with him at a time of national crisis. And in fact, if you don't believe me, we have proof. Watch what he said after that meeting. Listen.
This proves that it is possible to put people over politics. It's no secret that the president and I disagree on some things, but that's not going to stop me from doing everything I can to make sure that New Jersey has all the resources we need to move forward.
You know, Martha, fight to the death perturbs me so much because he has sat across from Trump. He knows Trump worked with him, but now it's fight to the death.
So here's the problem. You know, a lot of these individuals told people that this was going to be the last election in American history, that democracy was going to crumble if this outcome happened. So they can't overnight suddenly move away from this. So now you're hearing these governors, we're going to fight for your rights, we're going to fight for your freedoms. This is going to take a while, this process, for them to unwind. But I expect that you will see Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey, where I live, just as Guy described, start to move a little bit to the middle. The party has to be more moderate in order to win elections, and they will try to get there, I would expect, over time. And you're going to see them trying to do that because did you see what happened in Wildwood, New Jersey in the course of this campaign? So many people in New Jersey showed up for Donald Trump. In the Bronx, in Queens, the entire map has moved more red over the course of this election. So the Democrats are going to have to wake up. They're going to have to totally recalibrate. It's going to be like, they're going to try to do what Bill Clinton in 1992, get to the middle, talk about reform. They're going to try to do what Bill Clinton in 1992, get to the middle, talk about reforming welfare. I mean, all of these things need to be on the table if they're going to fix their electoral problems.
This is exactly what we were talking about in Kamala Harris's speech. We analyzed Kamala's speech, and I felt that it was really odd that she mentioned the word fight so many times. I can't even count how many times the word fight was mentioned in her speech. Probably 20, 30 times. And this is pretty much in line with this whole rhetoric that we've been hearing, that we're seeing, we're hearing, and it's all aimed against Donald Trump. They were threatening that Donald Trump, they were saying that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. And it turns out that these Democrats are more of a threat to democracy than anyone else.
One Passaic County.
That's right.
Go look up the demographics of Passaic County.
Like Miami-Dade.
Yeah, exactly. Miami-Dade, first time since 1988. Look, I want to bring in the ever sagacious Bob Woodward. We've been dealing with left-wing activists. Let's bring in someone who's presumably not a left-wing activist, but a journalist.
Don't be afraid of a knockdown, drag-out fight if that's what we're going to have. We've had them in the United States before. I know this, you know this, there are a lot of strong people out there who believe in the rule of law and the U.S. Constitution.
Wow, what is with these wild, radical, left-wing, hyper raging liberal folks who are hell-bent on attacks? Attack, fight. What is going on here, guys? As the Trump transition gets underway, you would think that all of this would be behind us. Not just Donald Trump, but the American people. Were tired of this. I mean, is Donald Trump going to be able to live through his entire presidency for his second term? It's like they're trying to drum up problems. This is exactly what they're doing here, guys.
So Woodward Kennedy wants a fight. I'm sure he's going to do quite well writing books and tell-alls about the Trump administration from his sources. I hope not, but Woodward wants a fight.
He said some pretty vile things about the president-elect. And I think he really needs to check himself and get back to traditional journalism. And he could share those lessons with the people at MSNBC who had no problem blaming white women in North Carolina in the case of Joy Reid and black and Hispanic men in the case of Joe Scarborough and Al Sharpton. So maybe cool down the polemics a little bit and teach people how he won his reputation in the first place. It's certainly not by employing the hyperbole that he stumbled into over the last few years.
And the thing that really pisses me off and concerns me simultaneously is that it's this type of hyperbole and vile comments that we're hearing that causes people like, you remember what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, right? Thomas Matthew Crooks, and then again on Donald Trump's own golf course just the other day. So it's this vile rhetoric. It's this subconscious and oftentimes direct programming, getting these crazy actors to go out here and do wild stuff. And we don't need this. We don't need this.
As far as I'm concerned, there is no ESPN without my friend Stephen A. Smith. I watched you on The View today. How you doing?
All right, how you doing, Sean? Congratulations on the election, the results. You called it. You said it was going to happen. I can't refute it. I can't refuse the fact that the president of the United States, the president-elect, is well deserving of it. It was a romp. It was an annihilation. I know a lot of people are trying to, label it like, you know what, he won a little bit in a lot of different places. I don't want to hear that.
But now, New York Attorney Letita James is speaking here about how her office is going to respond to a Trump presidency. Let's listen in for a moment.
And with other Democratic AGs across this country to make sure that we would be ready to respond to any attempt to roll back our rights. So here we are. We've studied their platforms. We've identified certain possibilities, fact patterns. We've created contingency plans. So no matter what the next administration throws at us, we're ready. We're ready to respond to their attacks. We're ready to respond to any attempts to cut or eliminate any funding to the great state of New York, as the governor outlined. So despite what has happened on the national stage, we will continue to stand tall in the face of injustice, revenge, or retribution. We will continue to protect and our most vulnerable and marginalized amongst us, because it is my sworn duty and responsibility to lead that fight, working with the governor of this great state, Kathy Hochul. This is not the time to be fearful, New York, but faithful and steadfast, knowing that I, as the Attorney General, along with my entire team, we are guardians of the law, and we are prepared, my friends, to fight back. Thank you.
All right, so that's Attorney General Letita James from the state of New York, and there's the Governor Kathy Hochul, who spoke just a little while ago.
That was maybe the most distasteful speech I've ever seen a government official give after someone won the American presidency, and I think it reflects exactly how Letita James has been this entire time. She has done everything in her power to destroy Donald Trump. She failed. You know how we know she failed? Because Donald Trump won decisively last night. This lawfare campaign that we have seen waged against Trump by attorneys general, by federal and state prosecutors, and them doing so by twisting the law in ways they had never done before. And we know this, right? This is not just a right-wing talking point. They use the law against Donald Trump in ways they've never used against anyone else in their states, in this country. And the American people spoke loud and clear last night and said, we're done with this.
He won, and he won in absolutely convincing fashion, so much so that I think that in light of those results, we have to look at this election as a referendum on the Democratic Party in America, saying we're not feeling where you are, we're not feeling where you tried to go, we want no part of it, we're not having it, and they made their choice, and we all have to accept it.
Wow. Stephen A. Smith, ladies and gentlemen. And Stephen A. Smith is by far not a Trump fan, not a Trump supporter in the least bit. But I got to respect the man. He's literally come out and he's not doing what a lot of these other Democrats are doing. They're playing the blame game. I can't put Stephen A. Smith in that same category. I can't. Stephen A. Smith is not, I'm not hearing any violent rhetoric from Stephen A. Smith. He's literally come out and just said, hey, we got destroyed. They got annihilated by Donald Trump. And this was too big to rig. This was the landslide victory that we were hearing about. And this is with the participation of traditionally blue states getting behind Donald Trump and putting him back in the White House. And this is big. This was a decisive loss.
And you were very gracious
for the
by the way,
Democrats.
privately, we have our own conversations, and you said that to me, and I'll live with it. And I've had elections that I really wanted my side to win that they lost, and you know what, Stephen A., I go on and I plow through and I do my job. There's not going to be retribution. None of the hosts of The View are going to be taken off. I used to go on that show. They wouldn't even they wouldn't accept a conversation with me at this point. Isn't that pretty pathetic? Because I used to like Whoopi Goldberg. Joyless Behar, she's a little...
Joyless Behar. That's so funny, though. But isn't it funny how these, and it's not even, it's I'm seeing this pattern, and I'm pretty sure you guys are seeing it too. These leftists, they turn their backs. They're the ones that are the chameleons. Look at Kamala Harris. Fake accent, fake race, fake nationality, just pandering to the audience. But here you have Sean Hannity, who's saying that he used to like Whoopi Goldberg. You guys remember Donald Trump used to be on The View. He was on The View at least once, if not multiple times. And I could pull up the footage if I really wanted to, but the simple fact of the matter is that Donald Trump used to be loved by The View. Oprah Winfrey, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, they used to all love Donald Trump. And I just think it's so interesting how they all decided to flip. So this has been a pattern that we've been seeing. But I think at some point, or at least I hope at some point, that we start to see the flip go back the other way, because it's way too radical at this point.
I would ask that you don't look at the show. What you should look at is the ideological tilt that has taken place in our country. We've gotten to a point where, God forbid, somebody has a difference of opinion and a different form of ideology, then you're damn near the Antichrist. And that's not what makes this country great. I mean, the reality is that, you know what, we could sit up there and we could say what we want, and everybody has their different opinions about Donald Trump. You know how I felt. You knew why I didn't vote for him. I don't like the way he behaves. I think the presidency is a statesmanship position, and I think that level of hubris that he's accustomed to showing needs to be dialed back significantly. But having said that, the bottom line is simple. You can look at a lot of things on the right or the left. He talked about the economy, okay? Biden inherited, what was it, like 1.5% in terms of inflation. It ballooned to over 9.1% before it got dialed down a little bit. We looked at open borders. Barack Obama was once considered the deporter in chief because he actually deported more folks than Donald Trump. But Biden comes into office, and the first thing he does, day one, executive order, he opens the borders. And obviously that created so much tension. And then you look at the culture wars, the identity politics, some of the transgender issues that people were bringing up in terms of individuals transitioning from male to female and wanting to participate in female sports and stuff like that, or sharing the same bathroom as females and all of this other stuff. America said, hey, we're not down for that. We're not going for it. And no matter what you try to throw in our direction, that's not what we're concerned about. We're primarily concerned about the economy. We're primarily concerned about our borders and about being safe. And they voted that way to send that message. And all we've heard over the last couple of days is folks going absolutely bat crazy because the candidate that they preferred to win didn't win. And I just want to take a moment to remind everybody, this is America. Guess what? Sometimes you don't get what you want, but we are known for having intestinal resolve and making sure we're able to march forward and work with whichever candidate ends up being in office and winning, and find a way to work with one another and reach some degree of compromise so we have civility in this country instead of chaos. It's going to be up to Donald Trump to contribute to that, no doubt. But the way I've seen some of the Democrats reacting since Kamala Harris lost, to be quite honest with you, is utterly ridiculous. I'm not.
Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. It's like these guys. It's like these folks are just children. And you guys have seen these libs losing it, right? These liberals just losing it. And I mean, all of these different TikTok videos on X. I mean, these people are just bonkers. They're freaking losing their minds. And, and this is very interesting. He compared Donald Trump to Barack Obama. Excuse me. He compared Joe Biden to Barack Obama. Joe Biden opened up the borders just, hey, willy-nilly. All y'all jokers just come on in here. Legal, illegal, don't matter. Come one, come all. And this is a big problem, guys. This is a big problem, and the American people have actually decided to stand up for it. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. This transgenderism, hey, you want to cut your nuts off? Go ahead and do it. But don't go to my kid's school and start promoting this nonsense. Don't try to override the parents and say, hey, if a kid wants to go ahead and change himself or herself, let them go ahead and do it don't even go so far as to essentially steal taxpayer dollars and make us pay for prisoners and And some of these prisoners are illegal immigrants paying for their transgender surgeries and whatnot. Like, what in the world is this country coming to? We have to draw the line somewhere. We can't continue down this path. And America has, in fact, spoken.
I'm not going to get into any names, but it's been utterly ridiculous.
You know, one thing, when I'm on your show, I do all the talking. When you're on my show, I let you do all the talking. We kind of have this unspoken agreement, because I always, but together when we have conversations, they're really thoughtful conversations. They're real.
I totally agree, and I wish we could have more of this. I mean, you got The View, and they're highly biased. Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, and Joy Behar, and I feel like the crew just keeps on changing, because number one, if you look at it, you know, generally it's a panel of primarily Democrats on there, far leftist liberals on there, and then you have like one Republican. And the fact of the matter is that, number one, they don't even let the person speak from the Republican perspective. It's like they call it The View. They need to just They need to call it Their View, not The View, because it does not represent the collective perspective of the American people. It is primarily highly lopsided. It's one-sided. And when the Republican representative that's on the show, or the conservative perspective that's on the show, decides to speak, it's constantly a trample fest. You can't even get a word out. And, you know, it's like they are literally just trying to queue up what they want to say next, and just long enough, they shut up just long enough so that the conservative voice can speak. So, and once he or she shuts up, they literally just spew their perspective without even considering what was said previously. But guys, these are the kind of threats that we're seeing already, and I'm hoping again that the rhetoric gets turned down. But it looks like things are actually turning up. By the way, guys, if you guys appreciate the content, I will continue to bring you guys the latest updates. This is what I do, man. Hit the like button if you appreciate the content. Definitely subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.